Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League predictions on a weekly basis for a new season. We've got Premier League predictions week 1 for you today, and I'm joined by Sophie.
Yeah, very happy to be back doing these predictions. It's been a long old summer break, but we're back now.
The Premier League is back. If you like your Premier League content and want to see us giving predictions on a weekly basis, do make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 900 likes on today's video. And if you want to keep up to date with us on this channel, do make sure to subscribe as well. Let's get to 36,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Like and subscribe, but let's get straight into the action, Sophie, starting with Friday night's game between Burnley and Manchester City, the battle of the champions. Burnley bossed the championship last season, and Vincent Kompany takes on the side he obviously was a great player for in Manchester City. Man City, we have seen them now, I suppose. I mean, in the Charity Shield.
Yeah.
Take from it what you want. I don't think Man City were at their strongest. They didn't put their best 11 out. Cole Palmer's goal was really good, but they lost actually on penalties. I think we've both tipped Burnley to stay up this season. I think I've put them a bit higher than you. I think Burnley are going to be alright, but this is a very difficult opening game. To be honest, I could see them pushing Manchester City, because for me, Manchester City are a team that end the season stronger than they start it. So I'm going to say it's going to be close, but that power and quality should just get Man City over the line. Burnley 0, Man City 1.
Yeah, I feel like Burnley being the home side, it's going to make it a bit of a tougher game, but what a first game. What a welcome to the Premier League. I do see Man City winning this. I do agree, I feel like it's going to be quite a tight game, and I feel like it's going to be 0-0 for quite a long time, and then I just see Man City breaking the deadlock and then getting another, so I see it being 2-0 to Man City. 2-0
to Man City. Okay, right, Sophie, let's move on to Saturday's lunchtime game, which is at the Emirates, as Arsenal host Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have got some very difficult fixtures at the start of this season. Arsenal, could they challenge again for the title this year? They've just pipped Manchester City to the Community Shield. In terms of business, I've been impressed by Arsenal's business. Nottingham Forest's business has been slow, but players have started to trickle through. For me, this game is the quality should show, and Nottingham Forest can match quality teams, but when they're at home. Maybe that could change this season, but if we're basing it on what we saw last season, Nottingham Forest are not very good away. They only picked up one away win last season, and that was at bottom of the table Southampton. Forest did beat Arsenal at their place, 1-0 last season, but they also lost 5-0 away to them. I'm going to say Arsenal win this. I think Forest could get a goal. Maybe Morgan Gibbs-White gets involved, but I'm going to say Arsenal 3, Forest 1.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm actually going for 3-1 as well. I feel like Arsenal will start the season quite strong again. Forest being away from home, we knew last season they were a much better team at home. And I do see them being in this game in a way by getting a goal, but I feel like Arsenal's quality is going to show. So I agree with you, actually. 3-1. 3-1
Arsenal. Okay, right, let's move on to the South Coast, Sophie. AFC Bournemouth take on West Ham United. Two sides that were involved in the relegation fight last year, but both got over the line quite alright in the end. West Ham's business has been slow. As for AFC...
They're linked with a few, but they've not got over the line for this much at the moment.
Well, the season starts, in a couple of days, so they haven't done anything for the starting point. As for Bournemouth, their business has been okay. We've spoken about how much change there's been there. Could be a risk. I don't see a lot between these two, actually. I think West Ham did alright when I saw them in pre-season. Bournemouth, like I say, they're at home and their business has been quite good. I'm going to sit on the fence for the first time in the Premier League this season. 1-1.
Yeah, do you know what? I can see a draw playing out. However, I could also see it going either way. That's why I feel like they might cancel each other out. I'm going to back the home side, though. I feel like it could be a very even game. One goal separating the two. And I see it going to the home side, so 1-0 Bournemouth.
1-0 to AFC Bournemouth, there you go. Next up to the Amex for Luton Town's first Premier League game. Their first game in the top flight for over 30 years. It's not quite a baptism of fire like going away to Old Trafford, but it's not far off. This is a very difficult opening game. I'm sure Luton Town will be taking thousands down to the Amex. I think their game plan will be try and stay in this.
100%.
I think maybe if it's 0-0 at half time, they could build on that. I could see Brighton definitely being the more dangerous team.
Yeah.
They're at home, they create a lot. They'll want to win this game. They'll see it as a must win at the start of the season. I don't know if it's I like a fairy tale story, but I want Luton Town to at least get something. I'm not even going to go for them to win, but I think they could be dogged and maybe get a draw. Brighton, no doubt, have more quality, but Luton Town, if they're going to stay up this season, they need to battle for every point they can. 1-1.
100%, and I agree. Luton Town, they're the type of team that know how to put in a really solid performance and just shut up shop, and they could grind out a point here. I feel like it's going to be one of those where you look at the stats and you just think, how wasn't it like a 7-0 to Brighton? I do see there being a goal though, and I feel like it'll be a moment of quality from the home side, which would be really frustrating because again I can see it being quite late on after a really solid performance from Luton. But for me, Brighton will win 1-0.
Brighton 1-0.
Yeah.
Oh, Sophie, you've rained all over their parade. Right, let's go to Goodison. Everton take on Fulham. It feels like a big season here for Everton. Every season's a big season for them, but you just want to see them push on a bit. You know, the more time they spend in the relegation fights, the bigger the chance of them going down. As for Fulham, their business has been all right this summer transfer window, but Mitrovic is a big talking point.
Yeah.
It's a big talking point. I ultimately don't see a lot between these two. I think what could win it here is Everton being at home. I think when they play at Goodison, the fans could make a difference. I know that tends to happen more at the end of the season when they really need the results, but maybe on the opening day the Everton fans will be up for it. It's a fresh start and maybe Sean Dyche can just outmaneuver Marco Silva. I'm going to go 2-1 to Everton.
Okay, I actually see it being a draw. I'm going to sit on the fence for the first time this season and I'm going to say a 0-0 draw. I see it not like a boring one, I see it being an entertaining one, a little bit of drama, but no goals either team, so draw for me.
Sounds like the worst game ever when you say
well,
that. 0-0.
Might be.
Right, let's go to Bramall Lane. Sheffield United are back in the Premier League and they host Crystal Palace. I think this is a decent fixture here for Sheffield United to maybe try and start scoring points in their opening game. Whereas Luton Town and Burnley have got some very difficult assignments. I think this is manageable for Sheffield United. No disrespect to Crystal Palace. There's a very good chance Palace could still come here and win. But Sheffield United are at home, and they're at home to a mid-table side, should we say. I think Sheffield United might win this. Lots of people have been writing them off this season. Yes, they lost and died, but we don't know how good the players are that they've brought in yet. And I'm tipping them to stay up. So I'm going to tip them to win on the opening day as well.
Okay.
At Bramall Lane. Could be a difficult place to go this year. Going to go 2-1 to the Blades.
Okay, what I can't wrap my head around is why Blades are just getting rid of their best players right now. Like Sander Berg is being linked. I don't know if he's actually gone yet, but he's definitely being linked with a move away. And they're the two best players in Dye and Sander Berg. So I can't really wrap my head around that. They must know what they're doing. I'm going to say a draw. It's going to be a really hard fought-out draw, but I see it being 1-1.
1-1. Okay, right. Now, this is a really difficult one to predict, Sophie. The later game on Saturday is Newcastle United versus Aston Villa. Ooh, really interesting. Did they play in pre-season? Was it a 3-3 draw?
I'm not too sure on that one.
Really difficult this is the two sides that are big clubs historically, you know, really big fan bases, you know, lots of history there. Villa have won the European Cup, two great grounds, and to be honest, it's good to see these two in the top 6, top 8 nowadays. It shuffles things up a little bit. I can't really separate them. If I had to, I'd maybe lean towards Newcastle being at home, but Villa's business has been good this year, and I'm going to go for a draw. 1-1.
I've gone for my first draw and now I'm doing 3 on the trot. For me, it's going to be an entertaining draw. Again, I find it hard to separate the two sides. It really could go either way for me. So I'm going to say an entertaining draw, 2-2.
2-2. Right, draws galore. Right, let's move on to Sunday's games. We've got Brentford taking on Tottenham. West London v North London. What can I see separating these two? Not a lot, actually. Tottenham's business has actually been alright when you look on it now. I actually didn't think Harry Kane was going to go. I always knew he was going to get linked. I thought he'd be there come the start of the season, and, you know, he is. Not impossible he could still go because the transfer window is still open, but it does look more likely Harry Kane's staying.
Well, he has said that he wants it to be done before the start of the season, so it's looking like he's staying.
As for Brentford, their business has been okay. They're always quite good at recruiting, but obviously there's no Ivan Toney. I think there's goals in this game, and we've been saying lots of draws today. Unfortunately, there's another draw here.
Oh, no,
I think it's a difficult one to separate. Spurs, maybe you would lean towards them, Maddison and Kane. But Brentford, I don't know, maybe a draw. 2-2.
Yeah, I feel like if Harry Kane does stay, which is looking very likely now, I feel like they've had quite a good transfer window. And I don't think it's over yet either. I know they're linked with a couple more players. So they could have an alright season, to be honest. It's just difficult to tell with the manager. I do feel like they're going to win their opening game though, so I'm going to back them to win 2-1.
2-1? Oh, okay. Right, let's move on to Stamford Bridge. So if you were Chelsea take on Liverpool, once again, I don't want to go for a draw, but I think I'm going to. I'm going to go 1-1 for this one. The reason is I think Chelsea's business has been good. I think they've brought in, well, they've made lots of changes, lots of outgoings, lots of ingoings, but I like the manager, Poch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a good manager, especially in terms of what he's doing in the Premier League. Pochettino's very good. Missing Nkunku, but they've got a couple of other decent players that can maybe chip in with goals this season. I think it's very difficult to say who's going to be their top scorer based on the fact there's just so many different faces. But Liverpool, their business has been alright. Szoboszlai, McAllister. I think defensively, maybe still some reservations, but yeah, I'm going 1-1 on this one.
Yeah, see, I feel like this could be a goals galore game. Chelsea, I feel like they're a bit of a hard one to predict this season. It could really go either way. And I'd actually say the same for Liverpool. I see a lot of people putting them in top four, but that's not a sure thing, to be honest. As we've said, I think their defence is looking a little bit shaky, and that's why I see there being a few goals. But both teams have got the firepower there. So for me, Liverpool win this 3-2.
Wow.
Be a good game.
Yeah, sounds like a good game.
Be a 0-0 now, but
you're going to edge Liverpool. That's interesting, because I think you put Chelsea ahead of Liverpool in your predictions.
Yeah.
How dare you? You've confused me.
It up, yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Right, let's move on to the final game, Sophie. On Monday night, Manchester United, their first game is at home to Wolves. Wolves, Sophie.
Dear, oh dear.
It's a bit
what
of
a bad
mess.
time to lose a manager as well.
It seemed like something was going to happen because their business has been slow and he wasn't happy.
He did a statement saying that he wasn't very happy.
But to happen so close to the start of the season, my prediction at the start of the season was Wolves bottom. Doesn't sound a bad shout at this moment in time. Wolves will be hoping that they get their manager in, which could be Gary O'Neill.
I've seen that, yeah, which I don't think would be a bad signing, actually.
And they've just got to start scoring points. They have got a couple of decent players, but it's the outgoings that have worried me. I think Wolves will struggle for goals this year. As for Manchester United, Onana, Mount, I think Manchester United's business has been good. I'm going to back Man United here. I'm going to say a 2-0.
Yeah, I feel like Man United are going to be odds-on favourites for this one. I do feel like Wolves are going to struggle this season, especially with the news that came out yesterday with losing their manager. I don't know whether there's going to be like loads and loads of goals though, so I'm tempted to agree with you and say 2-0.
2-0.
Like a comfortable 2-0 win for Man United, yeah.
We'll agree on a 2-0 there. There you go, guys. That is our Premier League predictions for week 1. Do make sure to get your predictions down below. Like I say, we'll be here on a weekly basis, so do join us next week for Premier League predictions week 2, and we'll see how many we got right this week. Do make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.